Good morning. So I'm still in my PJs and it is early this morning. I'm at home and I am recuperating from my chemo. And I have already had breakfast and everything. I did something I haven't done in a very long time. I got a pizza. I got one of those pizzas to go at Costco. And I had a lot of extra ingredients left over from the eggplant parmesan, so I made it better. I wiped off the grease on top because those pizzas are really greasy. Sorry, Costco, I'm not a fan of the grease. And I made it really good. So, I think I'm gonna be eating pizza for a while. Those are huge pizzas. It is a good deal. If you have Costco, just be aware they kind of drown it in grease, so it held up in the ride home. And the drama has calmed down a lot. My landlord turned in the form, and she told me that they are going to process everything in about 2 days. So that I didn't even know. So that has given me a big sigh of relief. So now I have a time frame, an exact time frame, and that's making me feel better. Like just anxiety wise, and I'm all pumped full of all the post chemo, uh, whatever that stuff is that they put in there that makes you feel really good. They put some extra stuff in there yesterday, and I was very sleepy, and I slept through chemo. And it was a long one. They started it at like 10 o'clock. I got there at 9, and they started it early, and I didn't finish until like 5. So I was worried I'd be driving home in the dark, especially because I had to get gas, and I picked up a pizza, and I had to get my tires checked and stuff. So I had errands to run afterwards. And what I forgot to do was check with my boss about getting a new mouse for the work computer. I meant to do that. I just was too tired to do it. I had to drink an energy drink to get home, which it worked. So my brain is just like a little stuff going on from the chemo. And so um, I have finished my chemo unless they want me to do more of it after my surgery. So, um, allegedly. I'm waiting to find out what they decide to do regarding my heart murmur, and then we'll see where it goes from there. They seem to be saying that it's probably not going to be a problem because I've had other surgeries in the past, and there wasn't an issue. In fact, they had to give me extra anesthesia for me to get through the surgery. I have a habit of waking up during surgeries, so that's the ginger in me. Which my hair is changing color. I don't know if you can see it. I've got the Khaleesi. Ouch! There's hair in there. I've got the Khaleesi thing going on. It's white on top, and my eyebrows are starting to grow in. I did not put on makeup yesterday except for some lipstick. And the eyebrows are growing in black. So, I think I'm going to be looking like Khaleesi in the books after she hatched the dragon eggs, where she had like almost no hair for about 6 months. And it was white on top, and I guess dark on the eyebrows. Although I think Khaleesi in the books had white eyebrows too. So, I don't know. That's nitpicky. Everyone imagines her now I'm forgetting her name. The actress, Emilia Clarke. and who was like 10 years older than the book character, and I'm like 10 times as old as a book character. So I dressed up like Rhaenys Baratheon, or Rhaenys Valorian on Halloween a couple years ago. So, she's more my age. So, little did I know my hero would be doing that. I'm thinking about dyeing it pink again. The more I think about it, the more I enjoy the reaction it provokes out of people. People just get triggered by seeing a woman with pink hair. And the hairstylist actually called it FU pink. Um, People assume a lot of things about you if you have pink hair. And the reason I dyed it pink, or I mean, I didn't dye it pink, the hairstylist did, and it was expensive to get it done too, was because it didn't look good, the natural color, when it was short. It looked really bad, because I'm getting older and my hair's getting like very salt and pepper, and I just thought, it would look better, and for a few weeks I could have some fun dyeing in a wild color, and pink was what they had in stock because it was Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I don't have breast cancer, I have ovarian cancer, but I have cousins that had breast cancer. One of them died from it, which is what made me very aware about the BRCA1 gene, is because of that. And that absolutely is what killed her, and I didn't know that two of her daughters also had it. It absolutely runs in our family. We have MS in the family, which is related also to BRCA1. I did not know. I knew that I had a cousin on my dad's side that had cancer, and she's still alive. I did not know that it was ovarian cancer. She told me after I got diagnosed. So it runs on both sides of my family, and breast cancer and ovarian cancer are like that. And then you got MS. They're all related. So we're all sisters in illness here. So the pink, I thought it was awesome, and it's fun having pink hair. It fell out, and you all saw me have the meltdown on the video. It's in the playlist. But, I got a lot of hate from cops and drivers trying to hit my car and things like that. And, um, you know, I got the haircut short before the chemo started because I didn't want to deal with a bunch of long hair in the drain. That's a nasty mess to deal with. And I wanted to donate it, which I still haven't mailed it out yet because I've had some financial issues and stuff. And it's not free to donate hair. Um, I don't know if you know that. You have to pay for it. So I want to take care of that this week. Um, but it's I it's all ready to go and everything. The form's printed up and stuff. I just have to send the check with it. The It was fun though. Just having a wild color like that. It made me really want to take care of my hair and everything. And maybe it's a second adolescence or something. You know, I did not enjoy being a teenager. What I really enjoyed was being in my 20s. I had a lot of fun. I dyed my hair purple when I was in my 20s, and I was very wild when I was in my 20s. So it's not something that I missed out on. I absolutely lived life in my 20s. I did wild, wild things. So it's not that I'm trying to catch up on something that I missed out. Um, Everything that they're talking about with Gen Z, I know about that stuff. I know all about it. Um, if you've looked at my Sims character, you know a little bit about me. I did like a lot of stuff. I have friends that are non binary that are my age, and I know all about that pronoun stuff. I have a friend who is a Trump supporter that I think is non binary, and I am not going to name names. I'm not going to say definitively. Um, and she identifies as she, born female, and I will use the pronoun she because that is what she uses. But I would say that her pronouns are daddy, squirrel, and tomboy. And that's maybe how my generation is a little bit different about those things, you know. So, I mean, and we've been friends for decades, and that is one of my best friends. And she is a major Trump supporter. You know, we don't agree on everything, but we agree to disagree on things like that. Um, so, I am very open minded about stuff like that. And I'm also maybe not politically correct about things because I have a dark sense of humor, and I will joke about stuff. And sometimes I forget that maybe younger people are a little more sensitive about stuff like that because my generation was not coddled about things. Our teachers called us lazy and stupid about things like ADHD and conditions like that. That was how we grew up. I mean, my parents were a lot kinder, I think, than a lot of people's parents. I did not have to grow up around alcoholism. My dad was a helicopter parent, and I didn't experience this as much as my older siblings, but they had broken playground equipment at their school, and he went and showed up at the school board meetings and demanded that they replace it. And that was in the 60s, early 60s, before I was born. My older siblings are Generation Jones baby boomers. So, you know, um, he's ENFJ, my dad. On the other hand, my dad is also a narcissist. He's diagnosed as a malignant narcissist, and I will say that. So we had to deal with that. We still have to deal with that in my family, and that's why I don't have anything to do with him. Um, I love my dad. I learned a lot from my dad, but he's not a pleasant person to be around, especially now that he's getting very the brain issues are kicking in, with age. He's in his mid 80s, and I can't be around him. Um, and if he happens to be watching this, it's not because I don't love him. I love him. I learned a lot from him. He taught me how to smile and, things like that. So it's, you know, that's but there are just things about him that I can't be around for my own emotional health, and that said, I think that my childhood was a lot more pleasant than probably, I would say, at least 80% of my peers. I've seen so many of my peers talk about things like the alcoholism in their families, and just being sent out to pick up cigarettes, and parents that would just lock them out of the house all day and things like that. And, you know, my siblings and I were encouraged to learn, and my parents took an active role in my education and, things like that. My dad was very encouraging when I would come home and cry when I felt lonely, and explain that, that was a thing that most girls went through in high school, and that was normal. And, I don't know that everybody had that growing up. I think my mother was more distant. I think I didn't really have a relationship with my mother until I was in my 30s. And that took a lot of work on both of our parts. My mother was on the spectrum. I'm pretty certain about it. If you know Myers-Briggs, my mother was ENTP, and she was extremely intelligent. That was very important to her. And, we had IQ tests from the school. I did really well on mine. I do have a high IQ. Um, depending on how it is measured, it could be 153. With the Stanford Binet, they round up or round down depending on where it is, and that is rounded down to 145, or +3 standard deviation on the Stanford Binet. But the actual score is 153. So it's, and my mother would actually berate my little sister, who scored pretty high too, because hers wasn't as high as mine. So that's not really a very maternal thing to do, and it created a lot of animosity between my little sister and me. I didn't think it was right that she was doing that, and I told my little sister that, but my little sister resented me for setting up that situation, I guess, even though that wasn't my doing. It's not my fault that, we had different IQ scores. That's a genetic thing, and it does show up on your DNA. And my mother kind of lorded it over my dad, who also has a genius IQ, that hers is higher than his. And my dad resented that too. And, that's emasculating behavior. There's just like a lot of, there's a lot of that kind of, and if you are ENTP and happen to watch this, don't do that. Your husband, and it's very likely that you have a husband, if you're a female ENTP especially, that is very likely that you have a spouse that is ENFJ or INFJ, and they usually are very intelligent, and they don't, they don't appreciate that, even if they don't say it to your face. They do remember that for a long time, even after you're dead. Decades after you're dead. Trust me on that. Um, so don't do that. Even if you are, you know, smarter by several standards of deviation, don't do it. My mother's IQ was higher than Albert Einstein's. It was very high, but she didn't really do anything with it other than, just read and, you know, and study on her spare time. And a lot of people with really high IQs, that's what they do. They just hoard their information for themselves. And they don't really give anything back to society. I think, even for myself, I feel like I've done that to some degree. I work in the insurance field, and that is what a lot of geniuses end up doing, is either working in accounting or working in insurance. And you probably, if you're not, maybe you are, and you work in that field or something. But that is what ends up happening to a lot of us, is we get kind of tracked into those careers. And because you need to be very intelligent to work with that stuff. Um, and people that are doctors and lawyers don't really need to have as high of an IQ. It takes a different kind of an intelligence to work in that. And they're definitely intelligent, but it doesn't take 160 IQ um, to do a medical treatment. It takes a lot of hard work. It takes a lot of attention to detail, and probably like about 129 IQ or so to be a doctor. You don't have to have like 150 IQ to be a doctor. They've done studies on that. And, um, I think there are a lot of people that have like really high IQs, 150 or even 140 or whatever. And they might work at jobs like Uber driver or, working Arby's or something. And then they just want to read all the time, and they don't really want to share what they have as a gift with the rest of the world. They just want to keep it to themselves. And I think that's kind of a shame, because when you have something like that, not everybody gets to have it. I think now we live in a society where everything is so dominated by Facebook, and it cuts down the tallest blade of grass. I've seen that, and it's also Zuckerberg can get his little studies and sell his advertising and everything. But that's why I prefer YouTube, is YouTube's algorithms are designed a little bit differently, and they can get advertising revenue off of people like Dr. Becky Smethurst, or things like that, that promote intellectual discussion and sharing that kind of information. Um, I don't think it's good to hoard information. I think that it needs to be utilized in a way that, that it does some good for humanity. I think, I've worked in insurance. I've found it fascinating. My mother worked in insurance too. Her brother got her into that field. There's a whole history of it in my family. My uncle was actually an actuary in the Netherlands, and then he moved to the United States and worked as a janitor in the school system in Orlando for decades. And he retired. And his kids did very well because he worked really hard. He worked several jobs. Um, he he had that job, and he also worked in a donut shop. And people had no idea this guy was a genius that was an actuary in the whole country. They just thought of him as the guy that put the pink powder on the vomit for the kids. They had no idea. He got my mom her job. She worked in the secretarial pool at workers' comp. So she typed up the reports, and some of them were very interesting, and she shared that information because they didn't have HIPAA in the 1950s. And so I grew up hearing about stuff like that. I heard about the lady that got her scalp ripped out in a sewing machine at some kind of a fabric factory. I think it was like an undergarment factory or something. And, I would visualize these kind of claims and everything. And I'm sure my mother did that too. And that's what you do. You read these things and you imagine it in your head, and it's like a horror story. It's like watching a scary movie, and you can imagine what happened. And I had claims like that. I've worked in all kinds of aspects of insurance. My clients ranged from Chevron Oil to the Elks Lodge to, Humana Health Insurance Company of Florida to, to Medicaid patients. So I've seen all kinds of things. Um, there was there was a golf ball that was hit on one claim, and that was a popular one that got passed around the room. And it hit someone in the eye, and I think that was not covered under HIPAA, so I think I can say what happened. The eyeball was replaced with a golf ball. And so everybody was passing it around. It had lots of details in it, so that kind of stuff. Insurance is not a boring job. It's interesting. And those are the kind of ghoulish kind of things that insurance people actually get kind of a sick kick out of coming across. But then there are the moments when you are sitting with a custodian that is retiring from the school board after working for 40 years and helping them to set up their retirement plan, and you're getting them in the right plan so that they can retire with a nest egg. And they did not know what to do, and they were scared that they were going to lose everything if they got sick, and they knew their health was starting to go downhill. And you were able to help them get in the right plan, matched up with the right plan. And that makes your day, because you know that you gave them some peace of mind about that. And that kind of a thing makes you feel good about what you do, and that you were not hoarding information, but sharing it with someone, so that you made their life better. And that's what you do with information when you get it. If you are privy to something that someone else does not know, you teach it to other people. And there was a study done on nuns that they did not show symptoms of Alzheimer's disease, even though a lot of them had it when they died. They never showed the symptoms because they were busy teaching up until the time they died. And it kept them from showing the symptoms of it because they kept their brains active teaching. And that's so important to do that, to share your information and keep your brain active and teach people things. You know, and not hoard information. Just sitting there and watching movies and watching TV all the time is not going to keep you alive and living life. You have to take what you know and give it to other people. That's the most important thing. If I don't make it through my surgery, I hope these videos help people. I don't want to dictate how you live your life, but I want to give you information that makes your life better. Whether it's telling you you need to apply for assistance, even if you have a nest egg in a bank, you still need to do it, because that's what I had to do. And I didn't apply for it last week. I applied for it in January, and it's just now coming through in March. You know, um, whether it's telling you you need to get on a meal plan if you're going through chemotherapy. You need to go on there and do your research and find, some kind of a meal delivery service, because you're going to be too tired to cook, and you need to eat healthy, and you need to, and I don't know what you eat. You might eat kosher, you might be vegan, you might only eat organic food, and I don't know what your dietary habits are, but you need to find something that matches your dietary habits, and you need to do your research online and sign up for something like that, because you're going to be too tired to cook, and you need to eat something healthy. And you can probably handle cooking some oatmeal or cooking some cream of wheat, which you will crave. And I'm going to tell you, stuff tastes terrible when you go through chemo. I'm so sick of Gatorade Zero, and I have to drink it. I have to. And I can tell you, I had some vanilla pudding yesterday, right after I made that video. It tasted so nasty. It was disgusting. And I used to love vanilla pudding. I used to love that stuff. It tasted, I cannot even describe it. It was like plastic, or it was like melted plastic. It tasted gross. And it was the same vanilla pudding. I was like, "Ooh, I want the vanilla pudding," and then I tasted it, and I was like, "Ugh, I'm gonna eat this," because I begged for it, but it's so freaking nasty. It was the worst stuff I've ever eaten, and so things don't taste the same. You're gonna want things like pizza and cheese crackers and Doritos and things like that. But you need to get meal delivered meals, and that will save you money, actually, because it's expensive to cook. It's probably cheaper to cook than to order the meals. And I've got a bunch of fish in the freezer that I cooked, and it was a little bit cheaper. It averaged maybe like about $6 a meal as opposed to 10. So it is a little bit cheaper, but it was a lot of work to cook the fish, and I don't want to eat fish every day. And I will be the first to admit it. The eggplant parmesan did not come out right. It was too hot. It was too spicy. I used the Louisiana seasoning on it, and that stuff was like flaming hot, and it was just too much. So I ended up not eating the eggplant. I take a couple bites of it, and I'm like, ugh. And I just don't have the appetite for it. You need to order Ensure delivered to your house. And I don't get Ensure brand. I get the Kirkland brand. It's actually called Premier Protein. I'm looking at trash. And they have all these different flavors. Get yourself a Costco card. It will save you so much money on that stuff. And I get the applesauce. I live on that applesauce. It's organic. It's not expensive. Well, it's probably cheaper to get stuff from Family Dollar, but they don't deliver. So just get the Costco card, and they will deliver that stuff to your house. And if you order like over $65, the delivery fee gets waived. So it'll, you know, I don't work for Costco or anything. I'm just trying to educate you how to save some money and everything. And, you know, those kind of things will really make your life a lot easier when you're going through chemo. I had an Amazon membership. I canceled it because they were not delivering things. And I'm just being straight and upfront with you. Uh, they were unreliable. They were it worked out really well for a while, and then they just stopped delivering stuff. And I was like, okay, this has happened a lot, and I would like to cancel my membership. And now there's the boycott going on, so that just makes me feel even better about ending my relationship with Amazon. So, you know, if it's working out for you, great. It was not for me. Um, so they had been really good about delivering vitamins and things like that, but I was not able to find everything at Amazon. I mean, at Costco. But I did find a huge bottle of vitamins for quite cheap over there. And it had everything in it. So the thing that I was not able to find were the glutamine tablets. So I need to find those somewhere. So, but the vitamins actually had more in it than the Amazon vitamins, and it's all in one thing. So that was nice. And I know that people want to do boycotts and everything, but you also need to take into consideration that your health is comes first before a boycott. The reason I canceled Amazon was because they were not delivering my stuff. I like to throw the boycott in there when I'm dealing with them, just to egg them on, because that's the kind of a person I am. But I was actually talking about my pink hair, and I found that it antagonizes people. And I was thinking about that. And I was thinking, if people get so triggered by seeing someone with a color of hair, I was thinking I may dye it back pink. Just if those kind of people are triggered by a hair color, I think they deserve that. And I think I want to dye it pink when it grows back. Because I don't really want to have platinum blonde hair. That's not really me. But I think the pink is. So I think that's what I want to do. And that gets all the way back into the original topic. I got a little bit sidetracked and everything, but I'm getting very thirsty now, so I'm going to draw this to a close. I talked about a lot of stuff today, and I'm feeling my mortality a little bit because I am done with chemo, and you all saw the picture that I posted. The nurses at the oncology department got me a very nice teddy bear. Um, Here, and it's got the Orlando Health, Winnie Palmer Hospital. And my big sister is a nurse. She gave me this. And there's a story behind that too. And I'm going to put the two teddy bears together. She gave me a roly-poly when I was a baby, and it's in the closet because I put my stuffed animals in the closet because I'm trying to break myself of the habit of sleeping with stuffed animals. But right now, I have cancer, so I need some stuffed animals. So F it. But um, she gave me a roly-poly, and I've had it since I was a baby. So that's in there. So um, she wanted to give me a new one that was like it. So is very similar. So this one's Patty cute. The other one's Yummy cute. My mother tried to fix Yummy cute. Yummy cute was missing an eyeball. So my mother put some eyeballs on it, but they were bird eyes. So it's a very weird looking teddy bear now. And so um, that's kind of what's going on. So I'm this is gonna be weird. I don't have chemo to deal with anymore, and So it's going to be new things, I guess. Or I might have chemo again. I can't say never. I thought number 5 was the last one. I really did because I was scheduled for surgery after that. And then I got very sick, and they had to delay the surgery. And then the new doctor, I don't know what happened to the other doctor. She might have gotten deported. Um, they're doing that a lot. And that's a horrible thing. She is a really good doctor and everything. If that happened, I hope they didn't put her in some. She's such a good doctor. She saved my life. Uh, um, this is a thing that's going on a lot around here and everything, and I've noticed that. My doctor's office used to be really crowded and is very empty now. Um, I'm outside of Orlando. The neighborhood I live in is Hispanic mostly, and I'm very comfortable with that. I grew up in a mostly Mexican neighborhood in Houston, out in the outskirts of Clear Lake City. So, um, that's very comfortable for me. I feel very comfortable around that, and so that's not where I was born. I was born in another part of Texas. So and I'm not going to say where because that's personal information. And you know, it makes me very sad because I think that immigrants make the country very rich and give it a lot of culture. I love the movie Frida. It's the music is just beautiful. I downloaded the soundtrack to it when that movie, not when the movie came out, but a few years later, just so I could listen to it. It's just so soothing and everything, and I mean, as a Texan, I love Tex-Mex food. I mean, I need to lose some weight. But I mean, it's tasty, and when you come from a country that has one type of food and everything, it gets very boring to eat here. And I am half Dutch. And honey, let me tell you, I love my Dutch culture. I love the Netherlands. I want to go back there. I'm planning to go back there. And I am so glad that I'm half Indonesian because Dutch food leaves a little bit to be desired. And I grew up eating that my entire childhood. We had Dutch food growing up. It's not good to eat. We had these things called sproutjes. And sproutjes are Brussels sprouts. And I have another name for them. I call them kabouterpoepjes. They were gnome turds. They are nasty, nasty little things, and I hated them with a passion. They are the most disgusting things. They have been genetically modified in recent years. So if you think they're delicious, it's because they are GMO foods now, and that is why they taste better. They do taste better now than they did when I was growing up. They tasted horrible when I was growing up. Um, I could only eat them one way. I had to have a lot of ketchup with them. I cut them in half so that they were more brown than ketchup. I literally poured a pool of ketchup over them and cut them in half so there was more ketchup. So all I could taste was ketchup as I was like basically swallowing them whole. They were just the most vile things I can imagine. We had a lot of sausage and potatoes and sauerkraut. when I was growing up, and it was hot sauerkraut. It wasn't even the good kind. It was hot, and it was often mixed with the potatoes, which is horrible. That's a crime against nature. Never, never mix those two things together. That is just a freaking crime against nature to mix those two foods together. It's gross beyond words. I had to ask my mother not to mix them together because it was just so gross. And herring is good. I love herring. And there's some weird things that I have in my pantry. There's rusk toast with butter and like the little chocolate sprinkles and the little licorice sprinkles and things like that. Those are really good. The food is just like super bland and as a whole. And there's some things you get an acquired taste for, like licorice drops, which I like, and I'm pretty sure that you would not like, dear viewer, unless you are one of my cousins. Um, so, I mean, growing up in that kind of an upbringing, where there was the same food served every week, and it was in a pattern too, because my mother was autistic, so we had to have spaghetti on Sunday. Monday was, I think it was like frozen dinner day. Tuesday was Chef Boyardee day. No, I'm sorry. No, Tuesday was uh, barbecue chicken on rice day, which was my favorite. And then Wednesday was Chef Boyardee day. Thursday was some kind of a boiled thing. And then Friday was actually Shabbat. Then my dad took care of Saturdays. That we had deli day. So Thursday was sometimes that nasty stuff that I told you about, like Brussels sprouts and stuff. It was just sausage and yuck. So I mean, like, it was the same thing over and over again. Boring. And some of my cousins are used to stuff like that too, bologna sandwiches and things like that. It's just unappetizing food and everything. And I had the same thing for lunch every day too. It was bland, like butter and bologna and butter and one turkey slice and things like that. It was just, what on earth? Oh, so having different cultures, like if you live in a city like Boston, where there's like all these little pizza and calzone restaurants, and then you have like, you know, uh, other cultures, that have their different little things and stuff. Greek food and all that. I was in heaven when I was in college because there were so many choices of different kinds of foods to eat and everything. And you have all these different cultures mixing together. It makes life interesting. And that's what makes our country interesting. And they say that after Hurricane Katrina, Houston got a lot of Cajun food there. And the Cajuns are interesting too. That was our treat every year. Was we went to New Orleans for the jazz festival every year. You know, and Cajuns don't speak English. They speak French. And they all left New Orleans after the hurricane, and they moved to Houston and California. And that kind of stuff. You got different cultures that live in different areas, that come from different countries. And here we have a lot of people from Puerto Rico, which is part of the United States. But we also have people that come in from other countries like Venezuela. And my doctor was from Venezuela, and they don't schedule me with her for appointments now, and I'm wondering if she was made to leave. She's a good doctor. This new doctor is good too. She's very, very obsessed with my heartbeat, and that could have ramifications. This is gonna be the longest vlog video. It's now going into 50 minutes. Um, but that's okay because it's not even 8 a.m. yet. I woke up very early last night because I slept so much yesterday. So it's okay. And, we have people from, in this Orlando area, we have people from Haiti and from Dominican Republic and different places like that. And it makes the culture rich, and they drink coffee in different ways, and they have foods in different ways. And I have a coworker, and he from Venezuela, and he's one of the managers now. He dresses so nice. It was just so nice to see him dressed up, and I just enjoyed looking at him dressed up, and I can't say too much, because I don't want to get in trouble at work. But it was just, he would just dress up so nice at work. It was enjoyable to see that. He'd wear linen suits and things like that. And a lot of people don't take the time to present themselves in a nice way, you know. And it's nice to see that. It's refreshing. And, in a world where a lot of people just come in sweats and Crocs and I'm guilty of it sometimes, but I like to dress up. But I don't have linen dresses, that, wow. You know, um, the people from different cultures, they make life interesting, and the different foods make life interesting. My grandmother was Indonesian, and she was an aristocrat. So, she had servants that did all the work around the house, but she wanted to do the cooking. Cooking was hers. And she liked gourmet cooking and everything. And when Oma would cook, Oma would make fancy stuff. And my mother made spaghetti when she came over, and Oma corrected her about that. I don't think my mother appreciated that, but spaghetti was always really good after that. And I still have to kind of tweak mine. Mine's got a little bit too much oregano, but I don't make spaghetti that often. So, um, it was always very good after that. I do remember that visit, and, but she made all these really fancy, exotic things, these little rice rolls with sweet meat in the middle and just fancy little things and stuff. And she was in an assisted living facility, and that they're more common now, but this was back in the 1970s, and it was one of the first ones in the world. And Netherlands pioneered the concept, and that was one of the first ones they had over there. And I remember it was like an apartment complex, but there was like there was a thing in the bathroom, and my little sister and I were looking at that in the bathroom, and we were like, "What does this do?" And like, maybe it calls a nurse. Let's find out if it works. So we pulled it, and this big, tall Amazon, like, Dutch lady shows up in there a minute later, and she's like, "Wat verkeerd, wat verkeerd," and she's like, "Oh, niet doen, niet doen," and it means like, "What happened, what happened? Oh, don't do that," and she thought, something bad happened to our grandmother, and, it was just two naughty little girls playing with the nurse summoning thing. My hiccups are still bothering me. This is going on like 2 days now, 3 days. So, you know, that was a new concept and everything, and they had two assisted living facilities at the time. One was for officers from the CNIL, which was the Royal Dutch India Legion, and the other was for the wives of officers from the Royal Dutch India Legion. And my grandmother had all kinds of forms that she filled out and stamped, letters of attestation from the mayor of Bandung, and I've seen the paperwork, and it's crazy. She made sure everybody knew she was a socialite and knew everyone. And my grandmother was like that, ESFJ. I know everyone. Everyone's my friend. That kind of a personality. And I have it on my Ancestry site that I haven't paid for in 3 years, but actually I never paid for it. My brother paid for it, but you know, um, yeah, there was all kinds of stuff on that, and just a lot of so they had her in there, and that was a fancy place for old people. But she did not like it because it was not her big house in Maastricht, which is a city in Limburg, like Limburger cheese, that Limburg. And Limburg is basically Belgium, but it's in the Netherlands. It's like a little strip of land that goes all the way to Luxembourg. And it just like dangles there. It's next to Germany and Belgium and Luxembourg. And it's a little bitty strip of land, but it's part of the Netherlands. So I don't know what preceded that, but my aunts and uncles moved her to the assisted living facility. So when we lived there, Oma was in the assisted living facility in Gelderland, which is in the middle of the Netherlands. Good place for assisted living facilities, I guess. So when I heard that they moved her to an old folks home, I thought it was like these places that they have here in the United States, which are terrible, horrible prisons for old people. But it was not anything like that. It was a really, really nice place. Um, and it's that kind of stuff that makes me want to move over there. I still have a good 20 years left of my career if I live that long. And, I see how my cousin is being taken care of, and he's being taken care of very well. He's in hospice now. He's such a nice guy. My cousin Peter. Um, they're treating him so well over there and everything, and it seems like it's a nice sunny place. It's like the hospices here. I toured one for a newspaper one time, and it seemed like it was a grim place. They just left them there basically to die, and Peter seems very different. There's like a meeting place where he can entertain family, and then there's a place where he can get sunshine. So it seems like it's just very different. I, my mother was on hospice when she was dying. I was not able to visit her because I was on the West Coast and she was in Florida. But I had to make a home visit to a client who was on hospice, when I worked for Banker's Life. And she was happy. That lady was rich. She had a place on an island in St. Augustine, and they gave her a lot of weed, and she could look out on the water, and that was her kind of her existence for a few weeks. And her insurance was not coming through. That was the reason I had to go out there, and we were trying to get that resolved. And that's I would say that lady died happy. Her surroundings were quite pleasant. She had people that loved her around her, and the surroundings were very nice. I think those kind of things are important to take into consideration, but I think about that stuff, and I think about how countries treat their old people, and the United States has an appalling record about that. 70% of all seniors in this country, and these are boomers who had good jobs and good retirement plans. So take that into consideration when I say this. 70% end up on Medicaid and destitute. So they end up in some nasty state-run retirement home, probably in Arkansas or Missouri, where it's cheap, because they ship them over to those places after after a certain amount of time so that they can save money. So they get shipped out there, and they have no family out there because their family is in like North Carolina or New Jersey or wherever. So after the state gets tired of paying for it, they ship them to a cheaper place in Arkansas or in Missouri, where they have lots of these state-run Medicaid homes. And they have no one to visit them. And these places stink. I've been to a few of them. They stink. They smell like diapers. And all they have are other old people that they don't really know that well, and they're in crime-ridden areas. And the people that work there work for minimum wage, and that's how this country treats old people. You work your day every day at a low-paying job, and you drive in traffic jams every day. In your low-paying job, you drive in your little Toyota Corolla to work that is wearing out, and you work for low wage, do that grind mindset. And after a while, because you're starting to get vested in your 401k, the company downsizes you so that the manager can collect the 401k. And the manager, when they start getting vested in a higher executive plan, they get downsized too, so that the high level executive can collect on that. And guess what? They get downsized so that the CEO can collect on it. Nobody wins in that game. And sooner or later, Luigi comes along and downsizes him too. But all of it is a losing game on that. But most people are the ones in the Corollas, and Corollas are death traps, by the way. I work for State Farm. I know about that. Every major accident involved a Corolla, and the one fatal one that I took a claim for involved a Corolla. Bad cars. I would not own one. I would never, ever own a Corolla. And I don't have a big car budget either. I went out and bought a very old Subaru, and I've not had any problems with it. The only thing I had to do was replace the battery. I love the Subaru. It's very old. So I'm not speaking as somebody who has money to burn on that kind of stuff. So, just my 2 cents on the matter. Don't buy a Corolla. But anyway, so you spend your whole life working in these kind of jobs, and then you end up you have a 7 out of 10 chance of ending up in a Medicaid home, out in the middle of the country, away from your family and friends, and you're in the middle of nowhere and lonely, and that's how you end your days. And then there's all this hype about America being the greatest country on earth, America being the richest country on the earth. That's what you end up doing. And that's the boomers. If you're Gen X like me, if you do really